Semmelweis believes and will work tirelessly to ensure that healthcare institutions' primary responsibility should be the well-being of the American public health, not large profits for a few select stockholders, administrators, and physicians who sell out on their sworn oath of do no harm. These stockholders, administrators, and physicians prey upon the poor and the downtrodden, provide poor substandard health care at patient and taxpayer expense. Some of these healthcare institutions provide substandard care, and they demand federal funds as they provide superior care to the elite. Semmelweis will try its best to continue again to educate the American public about the dirty secrets of healthcare institutions and how some self-serving, profit-driven healthcare facilities profit through intimidation, fraud, waste, etc., of anyone who questions their methodology. Through its media sources, and along with Congressman Nguyen's bill, hopefully the healthcare system will finally become accountable for their actions. Congressman Nguyen's amendment to CDPA is designed, among other things, to help improve patient care at hospitals and other healthcare facilities. To be brief, the general public at large puts its faith, trust, and lives in the hands of our nation's healthcare institutions. Most of the general public believes American healthcare provider institutions are the best in the world and give all of its citizens the best possible healthcare. Well, this is true in some situations. However, in some other select places or institutions, nothing could be further from the truth. Truth be known, as much as it's hard to accept and fathom, some of our nation's major healthcare institutions are driven by individual physician leader profits, institutional profits, administrators and physician stockholders being guided by the high-powered law firms, literally raping the federal-funded healthcare facilities. One of the interesting things about this is that numerous independent studies, including the Institute of Medicine's report several years ago, reported that nearly 200,000 unnecessary yearly deaths in the American healthcare facilities occur. Now, if you think about it, these studies are numerous, and they've been done by independent think tanks. You would think that it should force the current administration to demand accountability from healthcare facilities receiving or not receiving any of these federal funds. Now, think about it. If airlines, steel mills, mines, buses, or any industry produces that many fatalities, wouldn't we all be shocked? We should be both horrified and also demand action for this. The same should be demanded upon hospitals and other healthcare facilities that are funded with these taxpayer funds. Healthcare is one of the largest, biggest businesses in the nation and the world. With many millions of dollars at their disposal, these institutions, along with their high-powered lobbyists and law firms, have done a great job, excellent job, of quashing many individuals' attempts to change the current system and hold themselves accountable for their actions. It is now again time to adopt this amendment. Yesterday was Martin Luther King's Day, as we all know. The late Reverend King had a dream. His dream essentially was slow, but it has finally come to fruition. With hard work and support from his followers and believers, Dr. King's dream continues to come to fruition in this country. Every day, this dream gains momentum. The Reverend King's dream builds upon itself. Semmelweis also has a dream that everyone's health care is created equally, and with all of mankind's health care is not treated or created by, or it does not make a difference regarding its race, color, creed, size of a checkbook, balance, etc. We demand change in the system and can only perform that task with the help of the government. People like Congressman Nguyen and others who care deeply about ending the eroding dollar-driven healthcare system. Ethical doctors and other healthcare professionals and specialists have tried for years to point out problems within their individual hospitals, only to face retaliation, professional assassination, etc. Hospital and other healthcare facilities have had their disposal of a dirty little secret which the public is not aware of. Unlike most corporations, which can be tried through the civil courts, physicians and other healthcare professionals who attempt to improve healthcare at hospitals also face intimidation, reprisal, and professional assassination without having any access to a civil trial in which to expose the issues. In the current system of so-called administrative law, physicians handled this way have no more rights Unfortunately, then, the enemy combatants, as you're well aware. Hospitals quash these ethical and caring doctors by calling them disruptive and have used administrative law granted by Congress, unfortunately, in 1986, to try to intimidate and destroy these heroic doctors in closed rooms instead of a public light. This amendment to CDPA will change that. Doctors who are aware of this, unfortunately, must make some hard decisions these days. Do they blow the whistle and face professional assassination? Or do they look the other way and allow the status quo to occur? There's some well-documented cases, and I hope some of you do some research on this. Case in point, it was at the Tenet Hospital in California several years ago. This is one of the many documented cases in which the medical staff knew very well that patients were dying and receiving unnecessary cardiac surgery. But however, they did not speak up and allowed the hospital and its administrators and shareholders to make the money at the cost of the public. Congressman Wynn's act, along with supporters of Congress, realized that change is necessary for healthcare safety of the American public. Semmelweis and members of Congress, like Representative Wynn, want and expect accountability of any facility which tries to quash someone who is trying to help improve healthcare by forcing accountability of one's action. With Congressman Wynn's act, doctors will no longer fear reprisal, since they will now have due process in the federal courts and not in some quote-unquote star chamber that currently exists, where the doctor's future, unfortunately, is decided upon by those administrators who want to increase profits at the expense of quality care. Can we as Americans afford to stand by and watch the pain and suffering of hundreds of thousands of individuals who just maintain profits for select loggers? I hope not. A vote against this bill, unfortunately, would be a vote for the status quo. It is also a vote against your aged relatives, parents, uninsured individuals, folks who are laid off, temporarily out of work, downtrodden, employees of small businesses with no insurance. We all depend on federal Medicare, state Medicaid, and other funded healthcare systems. Your neighbors and friends may be actually caught up in this whole situation. Finally, I want to thank Honorable Congressman Wynn and other honorable members of Congress, as well as distinguished guest colleagues, for taking the time to appear here today. We'll be available for any type of comments after this press conference, but you can also contact our website if you need any additional information from the handout that we delivered. Once again, thank you, and thank you for the time.
I want to get Congressman Wynn and Chris Van Hollen out of here because it's okay?
Yeah.
They have got, after what happened on the stock markets around the world, they've got serious work to do with that stimulus package out of order. But I want to say two things to you. One, when you leave, I want the press to stay here because I want you to hear the kind of support that these members have. I want to read it in the paper tomorrow. So that if they have to rush out here and save our souls on the stimulus package, they'll know tomorrow what we said here. But they had to go.
I'm gonna be here, but
All right.
I want to hear the testimony. I did receive a message from Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Leach, who very much wanted to be here. She's been a real champion on this issue. Unfortunately, she's still down in South Carolina as a result of the debate, but she wanted me to convey to you her continuing commitment and her strong support in the fact that she will be here in the trenches with us. So, Ms. Jackson Leach won't be able to make it, but she is here in spirit.
And quite frankly, I'm a minister, and I'm almost tempted to ask you all to leave your day jobs and get a license.
I'm afraid to
As we just say, Reverend Cruncher, I'm going to have to go in about five minutes, but I do want to again thank
Well, these media people here are going to make sure you're here.
and all of you for your efforts here.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you very much. I have some of my team here, and so they'll
All right.
hear the input.
Take good
and bring it back
notes.
to
Take
me,
good
okay?
notes.